Hi, this is János, this is Real World Audio, and we are here with Kintaro. We've been out gardening for a few hours, so he's very tired and needs a little bit of congratulations for being the king of the garden. He is really doing a smashing job controlling the birds in the garden, and that's something it's very responsible. It's a very prestigious position that he is really happy to hold. So now let's talk about audio as well a little bit. I hope there's some time left. and I'm going to talk a little bit about trusting yourself as an audiophile and choosing the choice, choosing power for yourself instead of victim mentality. And I'm saying that relating to audio gear. It always comes up in discussions on forums, on comments, that when people try different power chords, for example, and I don't hear a difference. Is there a difference? Can someone tell me? Is there a difference between these two power chords, or would I just be losing money if I buy the more expensive power chord? And on this question, people just build up whole religions and then try to build complex philosophies, explaining to people that how powerless we are, that it's impossible as human beings to hear a difference between two power chords, and things like that. It's just amazing how creative human beings can get and can work themselves up on subjects that they are totally clueless about. And I mean clueless about because those people create these theories who can't hear any difference. And they just absolutely refuse to listen to those people who actually can hear a difference, to hear what they say, what is the difference between them. If we would be living in a society where human beings use their intellect to, just to build more knowledge, to open their perception, to perceive more of the universe that surrounds them, and do some positive building of their view on how the world works, how things work, then I think we would not really get into these situations. But as always, for some reason, audio attracts a lot of people who really vent their insecurities and frustrations into creating these fantastic phantasmagorias on why you cannot hear difference between two conditions. And I just found something by kind of almost a mistake. I have an Audiogon, there's the Audiogon website, and they have discussion forums, and I have a login for Audiogon, but for some reason it doesn't let me log in to it, but I get these reminders like daily digests of forum messages, so I can read the forum messages, but it's been a long while since I was able to post on them. And of course, you might tell me, I probably get 15 comments that, oh, just contact the administrator to reset your login. I don't want to do that because honestly, I do not have that kind of time to just type around messages. And if you happen to read this thread, you'll also realize that you don't want to comment on this thread because there's just so many commenters with such negative attitude that I don't want that kind of thing in my life. And instead of that, I'm just sharing on this channel what I have experienced on the matter. And right now I'm going to focus on one of the answers on someone who posted something very similar that I would have posted, and I'm just going to read it and comment on it, and so this thread was about blind testing power chords. So and here it is. The last paragraph of this comment is, you can see this takes a bit of work, but that is what is required for a psychologically varied answer. I have actually done such research for several corporations at which I have worked. Same thing applies for visual and tactile experiences. So I read this just to emphasize that the person who wrote this comment is an audio professional who have done blind testing audio gear. And now I'm going to read out his previous paragraphs where he details how a proper testing can be done, and I'm going to do that because he uses a very nice, understandable language and has really good advice for you that is easy to follow, not such scientific language that no one can understand who doesn't have a PhD in biostatistics. And so here we go. A fundamental property of human perception is that it is variable. Okay, before I continue, the moniker of the person who commented it is Jackal ISS. I just want to state that so that to know that if you want to look for it, I'm going to put it down on the video description as well. So let's continue. The same person experiencing the same thing on different occasions will have a slightly different experience of that thing. So that is, I think, something that everyone who is like testing any kind of audio gear or doing your own comparisons at home, you need to be aware of it. That every time you compare anything, your ability to notice differences and what kind of differences you notice, if you notice anything at all, it depends greatly on your state of mind and how refreshed you are, how relaxed you are, how tired you are, how exhausted, how stressed out you are. Are your ears nice and rested, or have you spent the previous 2 nights at very loud concerts and now your head is hurting, and even just like people talking around you just is painful? When you are in that state, there can be like vast differences. You won't notice any of them. What you will notice is that your ear hurts because there's some sound coming and everything bothers you. I know this is an extreme example, but extreme examples are always good to understand that there is not black and white. There's not just one scenario that when you wake up there's a switch flipped up in your brain and every day you hear exact same as if you were recording a microphone. And no, we are biological systems, and basically every hour the level of our awareness and the ability to tell differences between sounds varies greatly. And this is important to know because we are highly visual people, visual species, and our vision is relatively stable during the course of the day. The only thing that you notice that when your eyes start to get tired is that you get headaches. But you kind of see the same thing when you are young. When you get older and you have abused your eyes a lot, then you will notice, like I do notice, that for example in the morning when I wake up, even without glasses, I can read the text messages on my cell phone. even just an hour later, I cannot see anything without glasses. And at night, even with glasses, I cannot read the damn phone. So, and that happens when your visual system gets tired and tired. Like in my case, like 10 plus hours of computer work every single day for the past 20 plus years. It takes a toll on your eyes. Before that, 20 years ago, for me, waking up in the morning, late night, I didn't sleep for a night, or I skipped 2 nights sleep, like 72 hours awake, vision same. But as you see, as you go through different experiences in life, different cumulative experiences, you can get vastly different perceptions on how your vision works. And the same thing is true for our hearing. If you live a life where you are not subjected to stress, you are not subjected to external loud noises, then your hearing is at most times very acute, very astute, and probably you can dependably hear almost the same thing or relatively close every single day. Now, if you live in cities, in a modern human settlement, that's not the case. Maybe when you are up to like 10 years old, you have kind of like a more or less wholesome hearing system, but then it just gets out of whack. And you need to be aware that just because today you don't hear anything, it doesn't mean that yesterday you wouldn't have heard big difference, or tomorrow, or sometimes. So that's why if you are doing any kind of testing comparing two things, like two decks, or two power cords, or two amplifier or speakers, never ever just do an A/B test, like, okay, 1 second this, the next second that, and can I tell a difference between the two? No, that whether you can tell or not, that's just how stressed you are. And also, maybe at that part of the music that you are right now listening to, the complexity of music, tonality, the dynamics, the bass, etc., maybe in that part of the material there is not a big enough difference between those two products you are A/B testing, that even if you had a switch between the two on that specific music, maybe you wouldn't notice anything. You need to go through a repertoire of different music and expose yourself to different things, because the same interconnect or power cord or whatever, the advantages or the disadvantages of it will come across when specific conditions occur that bring out the best or bring out the worst of that product. And our ears and our brains will be able to pick that up, but it takes time. It's just like it takes time to get to know a person, or takes time to get to know a music. Like, for example, if you have like a new composer you are getting familiar with, or a new band, at first you might not like the music at all, but you hear it like 5, 10, 20 times, and then, yeah, now I get it. And if you were an A/B tester, okay, now I'm here listening to this song from Eric Clapton, and then B, I'm switching to Cranberries, and then flipping between them. Which one do I like? Or is there any difference between the two? It's day by day you might have different experiences, but also person by person different. There's some of us who are just extremely consistent human beings, and for you, like Eric Clapton versus Cranberries, the answer would be the same today, tomorrow, 10 years from now, 10 years ago, 20 years in the future. But there are others for whom the answer would fluctuate day by day, maybe hour by hour. And that is something important, that we cannot generalize these issues, because it depends on the person. So, the same person experiencing the same thing on different occasions will have a slightly different experience of that thing. Different people experiencing the same thing at the same time will also have slightly different experiences of that thing. That is why measurement of psychological phenomena typically makes use of samples of data. If each person's experience is measured using a psychologically valid scale, you will get a distribution of measurements with an average value and a degree of variability, which is like standard deviation or statistical error. This enables you to say whether two distributions of data are different from one another or not. So that was the sciencey part of it. So now let's make sense out of it. So that is next paragraph is about putting this into context, how you can do it for yourself. For example, like trying to A/B test two power chords or two speakers or whatever. So invite a dozen buddies over to listen to each cable, not telling them which is which, and have each of them rate each cable using a psychologically valid metric. Something like, you can put down on paper, like it extremely, like it somewhat, like it slightly, no opinion, dislike slightly, dislike somewhat, dislike extremely. So like you can just prearrange with your buddies, or give them a sheet each. And for first cable, second cable, mark it. How do you like each on this scale? Or and if you do that, this will be kind of more like a scientific analysis. But what I prefer and is more useful is maybe you can add this scale as well, but have your buddies write down their thoughts about what they experience with the cable, what they think about the cable, and actually I would also add that when you stress them out, that you have to perform, because when you are A/B blind testing, then your buddies will be stressed out because they will be asked to perform. And in this case, people feel that my capabilities and my prowess is being tested. And that changes how a person behaves. So that introduces a psychological bias to the test. And what I would do, and what I do recommend, and actually what we have done in the past, is like tell that, okay, now we are listening to cable number 1. And now we are listening to cable number 2. And now we are putting back cable number 1 again. And then, so they know that, okay, right now we are listening to this, we are listening to that, but we are not telling them which it is, so that they won't be biased by the manufacturer. Because if you tell it that this is the manufacturer, then the brain, if you have a favored manufacturer, or you think you have a firm belief that if it's more expensive it got to sound better, then your brain will be focusing more on the positive aspects you are hearing, and your attention will be geared to recognize the favorable elements that you hear, and you won't focus on the negatives. So when you are not blind testing something, it still doesn't mean that you don't hear what you hear. It's just based on your belief system, we always direct our attention towards certain aspects of the sound. And when you don't know who manufactured the cable, how expensive it was, how it looks like, then you do not have that information biasing your awareness, your attention. So you don't have preconceptions to guide you towards observing specific aspects, attributes of the sound. And okay, let's follow. So what I would like to follow up, we kind of finished what he shared with us. So basically the important bit what he was saying is that if you are curious, you want to know whether two power chords sound different one from another, then invite over a dozen of your buddies, or at least a bunch of people, as many warm buddies as you can find, and I think audiophiles will be always up for such fun to come over to listen to different power chords, and you can make it fun and stress-free, and that's what we have done. Like my mentor Stu, when he had his store Audio Directions, we always had audio club meetings, and what this is now the one I want to do this, continue the same thing that he did. He had the audio club meetings in his store, but he passed away now. We don't have anymore, no store anymore, and no audio club meetings. So this is my way of kind of sharing with the audio community to make these videos, sharing about our experiences at the actual live audio clubs. By the way, Stu had those audio clubs for decades, and each month he had an audio club meeting. So there were like hundreds of these sessions when we got together, and it was like audiophiles who've been in the hobby for dozens of years. And I remember that there was a time when we got together to test a dozen power chords, and Stu hid those power chords behind the equipment rack, so no one saw which cable he is, which power cord is he connecting at the moment, and we were sitting there, about a dozen of us, even more, and he said, now this is power cord number 1, write down your observations. And we listened to the same song for each power chord. Now, power chord number 2, write down your observations. And this went from power chord number 1 through power chord number 12. And then it was very interesting how it worked out, because out of that dozen or a dozen and a half, like 12, 18 people, because some people, they got tired and they couldn't listen through the same song like 12 times. It was just too much. So some people don't have that kind of maybe awareness or focus or concentration, or they said, okay, now I cannot concentrate that long. I listen to four cables, I'm tired, I don't hear differences anymore. That's also part of it, is that each of us have different stamina. And there were, like, I think about maybe 7 or 8 of us who could listen to all of the cables, but the majority of the listeners, they could not. And out of everyone who listened, there were actually a lot, I think about half of the people who said that for the majority of the cables, it sounded the same to me. There were 3 cables that sounded different from the rest, but I don't know what was the difference between 3 and the rest of the 9 cables. And I don't know and I cannot even tell if it sounded better or not. It just sounded different to me. And that's what a lot of people said. So I would say the majority of audiophiles, and these were not greenhorns, these were people who spent decades building their systems, and they had really good systems, really fantastic sounding systems, and they've been paying attention and trying to improve and asking people, like, okay, what do you hear now? So these are my friends, and there's just a lot of people who just don't have that capacity or training to tell minute differences apart, or sometimes when there's like bigger differences, they can note it, but is it better or not? It's different. So that was kind of, I would say, the majority of the listeners, what people heard. So that's why when you look at forums and what people post, that's why those posts are so rampant, that people say that there's no difference between power chords or interconnects or whatnot. And those who say otherwise are imagining things, are liars, they want to sell something, yada yada yada, because a lot of people honestly cannot hear a difference. And sadly, instead of talking to those people who hear a difference, these people, not all of them, just some of them who have insecurity issues and the desire to, I don't know, they become really nasty towards the rest of their fellow human beings. And as Stereopolis has noted on his channel, audiophiles are extremely vicious against each other. There's just a lot of really bad elements, and showing examples, really bad examples of human specimens, how we behave towards each other, like kind of like butthurt children, just like, I don't know. It's like a lot of comments that I read, I can't even believe it's posted by an adult human being. It's like crying children, I don't know. I don't want to sound mean, but a lot of people, I think they should read their posts before they post, and when sometimes the same people read their own post that they posted a year before, and they say, oh my god, did I post that? I was probably really stressed out at that time, because I wouldn't post anything like that now. It's really generic. So but coming back to the experience that we had at the audio club, the majority of the people couldn't tell any difference, and there were 3 of us who actually, like Nelly, me, and one more person, we could tell apart all of the cables. Like number 1, how did it differ from number 2, number 3? And actually we all said that those 3 cables, that those who said they sounded different from the others, all of us said that those were the 3 best cables of the lineup. And number 1 and 2, that was the same for everyone. And number 3, wait. Those, they were the same, but whether the first or second, which one someone favored it, someone favored the first the best and someone the second the best, but the first 3 were like, all of us said that that's vastly better than the rest of them. And also we picked up on the fact that there were 2 of the cables or 3 of the cables that's 2 put back again. So like number 5 and number 8, that was the same cable, they sounded the same. And number 10 and number 10, that also sounded the same. And yeah, Stu said after that he had some of the cables that he put back again later on to see if someone picks up that it was not a different cable, you heard that cable again. So yes, and that experiment really demonstrated that indeed you can hear acutely. It's not rocket science, but not everyone hears acutely, and then we had like a really good time talking to each other, and we had everyone explain in detail what they experienced it, how they heard it, and it was super educational for all of us. So it was super educational for all of us who shared it, like how the other person, what did they hear, what did they perceive, and I think that is just about as important as anything else in audio, and I think when you go about your audio exploration, it is not just something, not a selfish endeavor, but it's something that is much more enjoyable when you do it in a group with your friends. And when you are with your friends, it is extremely valuable when you know how your friends experience sound. So that's why it's a really good idea to have an audio club session when you try out different things and have each person write down your experiences and share with each other what did you hear, so that you learn how the other person hears. And like, for example, you learn like, oh, I didn't hear the difference. Wow, you heard that. You know what? Let's listen to it again. Can I hear it? Oh yeah, I can hear it. I just didn't notice it because I was focusing on the dynamics and how the drums sounded, and I did not pay any attention to the atmosphere, to the soundstage. But now that you mentioned that there was a difference with the soundstage, yeah, when we flip back and forth, I can hear that. And these are things that increase our awareness. And I think what my experience is with audio is when you want to identify aspects of the sound, how things sound, what is the difference, it is all based on awareness. What is your awareness of what you are hearing? And the level of our awareness, what we hear, can be improved staggeringly. And what I recommend is to constantly improve on it, because as we age, naturally our hearing degrades and we hear less and less. However, if you can compensate it, and even more than compensate it, by increasing your awareness of what you are hearing. So that's my little advice for today, is that instead of just mentally stressing about what would be the best A/B blind testing method, and just get together with your friends and share your experiences. You will learn 1,000,000 times more when you are together with your friends and you all put together all that you know, all that you experienced, and then you can together work out a greater understanding of what you are hearing, and you can work towards a common goal. Of course, the premise of all of that is to have audio buddies who are helpful and who strive for the same cause. Because you can have toxic friends who are there to just poison your experience, there are some human beings who just enjoy torturing other human beings, and that's their source of happiness or validation, to see others put down. If you have humans around you like that, especially in audio, just get rid of them. Okay, you don't need them. They won't do any good to you. And even if they have nice sounding systems or anything, you will be much better off just to have no contact with those people who just do harm for your progress in your audio journey. Don't worry if you have audio gear which is really basic at the moment and you want to have something like that guy has, who that nasty dude. Don't worry about him. Focus on yourself, learn, and find friends who have the same mindset that you have, and you will have a much happier life. because that's the point of audio, is that you want to have a balanced, happy life, and audio is there to help you in maintaining that balance of happiness. And if audio is there in your life to create imbalance, to create anxiety, to just, you know, have trolling online and things like that, that's not doing any good. I think if that's something where you get stuck, it's best to just cut it out from your life and focus on something else. So, and find a community who is more supportive, and when they found it, that's when you focus back on audio again. Until then, just enjoy what you have and spend time with your music. Maybe try to learn an instrument to complement your music experience. Have fun, enjoy. Bye bye.